This is Shel Spivey. This is a shot of our annual senior adult Christmas party that takes place right before Christmas every year. It's a fun time and the senior adults really love this party. The little lady here that I'm dancing with, her name is Estella. I really didn't know much about Estella this particular time. I do know that every year she would come to our Christmas party, and Estella's had a stroke, but she loves to dance. And she can dance for 45 minutes. And you see my arm moving around? That's not me that's moving my arm. She moves my arm around. And she's just a delightful little lady. She's blind, mostly blind, and she doesn't hear that well. You're probably asking yourself right now, what has this got to do with an update on the colorization of La Entrada? Well, I think it's important to share some of the human stories in our little village. Estella is 87 years old. She lives with her husband, Jorge, and he is like 78 years old, so he's just a youngster. And they live in the village, the center part of the village. But until we started painting the village, I really didn't know exactly where their home was located, but I do now. The red arrow pinpoints their small little home. It's only 2 rooms, and it's probably one of the smaller homes in the entire village. Jorge had asked me to come by and look at their home. There's a sewage drainage problem, and this picture shows it's kind of uphill, and when it rains, it comes down this hill and floods their house. And you could see where there was damage from that, and you could see mold growing on the walls and what looked like some kind of spider webs. So anytime it rained, it just destroyed their house. And the house is very poorly constructed to start with. I told Jorge that we would try to do everything we could to come up with some plan to divert that water where it would run to the side of the house and not run through it. The next day, I returned with my daughter Amy to look at it, and the more we looked at the house, the worse. Every place we looked, it was really worse than what we thought. This is the area directly behind the house. There's a pan here in the left-hand corner. That's a pan that they take sponge baths with. There is no shower anymore. There was one, but it deteriorated to the point it's not usable. In the middle of it is where a sink used to be, but it's long gone too. This is their toilet. They would have to go out, fill the pan up with water, and pour it in here so the toilet would flush. So it's pretty primitive. Well, you're probably asking yourself, how did things get this bad? Well, there's an explanation for it. And the way things work in Ecuador, there are very few nursing homes or anything close to that, certainly in the smaller little communities. So they depend on their children to take care of them in their old age. The problem with Jorge and Estella, they have no children. So they are just managing to get by. He is very attentive and he's very kind to her, and I really appreciate that about Jorge. They do get a little assistance. I think it's like $50 a month from the government. So that, even in Ecuador, that doesn't go very far. After we completed our second walk through the house, we were getting ready to leave when Estella got Amy's attention. She said something, but I couldn't really make it out what it was. So I asked Amy, what did she say? She said, Dad, she told me they're hungry. At that point, I knew this project was going to include more than just fixing a drainage problem. Well, the first thing we did was get them some food, and then within 2 days, we're in the middle of a full-blown reconstruction of this house. The front room was okay. It was savable. The back room, we had to tear down 3 of the walls and just pretty much start over on it. They were made out of bamboo, terrible condition. So we recruited some volunteers in the village and we started going after it. These photos pretty much show what we did. We stepped through the process. Really went pretty well. Most of these, anytime you have a remodel, it almost always takes a little bit longer than you think. I thought we could do it in a week, and it's probably taken 10 or 11 days to get it done. One of the things in the back room was it was supposed to be a kitchen, but there never was a kitchen. There was no sink in there. There was no refrigerator, and there again, that's part of the problem. They get fish from the fishermen in the village, but they had no way of refrigerating anything, so they couldn't keep anything. So we got the kitchen done. We've got the bathroom. Now she can have a shower. One of the things she said was, it's going to be so good to be able to be in a shower and be able to have the water run down over my hair. One thing that's so remarkable about Estella, even though she has no shower, she still has a necklace on, earrings every day, and she always fixes herself up and look as good as she possibly can. We chose the lime green for the tile simply because we got a great deal on lime green. For some reason it wasn't a big seller. So we had lime green paint. We painted the bed with lime green. We painted one of the walls yellow. So it's very festive. And then when we got the refrigerator, we had a little small used refrigerator that we had, so we took it and painted it pink. So we had lime green going on, we had yellow going on, and we had pink going on. One of the last things we did was construct a little retaining boom here to where when the water came down the hillside, it would hit this and divert between the two buildings. That should solve the problem, although we've not had a big rain, but I don't think they're going to have any more problems. So we're not quite finished, but we're within a couple of days of having absolutely done. We're waiting for the rear door and a screen on the rear window. But a few other things need to be done. Some of the women that live right around her have taken and cleaned all their clothes, and they are prepared to move everything back in. Not that there's that much, but to move it back in when we're complete. I do want to thank a number of people. First, I want to thank Sherwin-Williams. They've made our efforts to colorize the village attainable. They've been very, very helpful. Also, I want to thank all the volunteers that have helped in the restoration process, and also Marcia, my wife, who always is good about getting involved in projects that I drag her into, and our daughter Amy for everything she's done to make this a reality. As always, I want to thank everybody that's contributed to the colorization of La Entrada, and also the ones that have made a special contribution to restore Estella and Jorge's home. The website is listed here where you can make contributions. Also on the video description, you can click on the video link that takes you to that website. Thank you so much.